Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Real Chat Daddy Show. And with that being said, we do want to say good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. Glad to be back with you guys on a rather beautiful President's Day. Our weather is actually very good here in the Chicagoland area, almost like a spring day, not quite though. And we are expecting topsy-turvy weather later on in the week. So maybe today was just a President's Day gift. We have another great show planned for your viewing and listening pleasure this evening. This entire week, we are dedicating our show to celebrating the contributions made by African Americans in America's labor movement. So we'll be talking about Black-owned businesses. We'll be talking about Black-owned innovations. And tonight we have a very special guest who will be joining us, Dr. Lyn Hughes, founder of the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porters Museum, located on the south side of Chicago in the Pullman area. I'm sorry, how's it a Pullman Porter in the Pullman area? And so she'll be here tonight to talk to us about that wonderful history. I remember when she started talking about this back in 1995. So that would be like creating something, birthing it, and now watching it get its doctorate degree. Speaking of very smart women, our co-host, the one and only Miss Kay Renee of Karen's Nuggets of Knowledge. You are looking amazing this evening, dear. Have you just gotten back from Saint-Tropez or you know, what is it? You look amazing. Good evening, darling. How are you?
Good evening, big brother, Mr. Art Chat Daddy Sims. How are you this evening? And I wish I went to Saint-Tropez, but I have to give kudos to my new style, to my cousin, cosmetologist, hairstylist extraordinaire, Miss Deirdre Mason of Deirdre's Creations. So she's the one that's responsible for this new look. So thank you, Deirdre. Love you.
Oh, okay. Very good. Wow. Okay. Sometimes your beauty and your creativity, I'm just stifled with things to say about just how wonderful you are. So how was your weekend, my dear? Did you finally get your refrigerator? Are you now chilling? Are you able to now make boo thang some eggs and bacon? If boo thang,
yes, boo thang to be continued, but no.
okay.
Yes, I finally, but let me just say this, Art, again, thank you for going with me to select the refrigerator. That was smooth sailing. We thought that we were going to get the refrigerator last week. Some jackals. I don't want to say something else, but we on TV, so I won't.
Right.
I won't. Acted funky, but on Saturday afternoon, that doorbell rang. It was three wonderful delivery men. They're
Right.
like the real men are here.
Okay.
They removed my old refrigerator and installed my new refrigerator. It had to be a record, Art, 10 minutes.
Oh no, they're very quick. They do not play. I don't know. I didn't announce this to our audience, but a month ago, my refrigerator went out, just kaput, died. As you guys know, I cook quite a bit. I, entertain, things like that. So a refrigerator is essential. And yes, when I got mine, they ended up bringing it in so quick. It's so funny how you remove the old refrigerator, and you know how there's just so much everything behind the old refrigerator. So I'm trying to get the broom and the mop and they were standing there with the new one already. They were standing there. So yes, they are. Those professional deliverers are very good at what they do. Yes.
Well, that tells you the ones that came last week were strictly unprofessional.
Oh
Because
my
these men,
God.
they weren't playing. In fact, one of the guys had said, wait a minute, he asked you about the water line and he didn't know it was underneath the sink. I said, no. He said, what planet was he on? I said, I don't know. Because it
Oh
certainly wasn't
wow.
Earth. But,
Well,
you know.
I'm glad you're happy. I'm glad you have
Yes.
it. If Boo Thang ever rings that doorbell, now you'll be able to make fresh eggs and bacon or fresh whatever because you have a refrigerator. So
well, not only that, I can bake my sweet potato pies. I couldn't bake last holiday season.
Oh,
So
that's right.
now I'll
That's
be
right.
baking.
Okay. All right. Very good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, for a lot of you, today is a federal holiday. Today is President's Day.
Mm-hmm.
One day a year is set aside to honor those who have led our country. The idea of the holiday came from an effort to honor George Washington, America's first president. In 1870, Senator Stephen Wallace Dorsey of Arkansas proposed adding Washington's birthday, February 22nd, to the list of existing U.S. holidays. President Rutherford B. Hayes signed the Washington Holiday Bill into law in 1879. Now, here's my question to you in the audience. Could you imagine being the people that sat around and decided what would be holidays? Like nowhere else in history are you going to read where somebody helped to decide something was going to be a holiday, except for Dr. King's celebration and now Juneteenth.
Right.
But isn't that incredible that you were around when holidays were created?
Okay, who knew?
Right. Well, in 1968, Congress passed the uniformity that the Monday holiday, which is now considered President's Day, would be the third Monday in February. And so all national and federal places, government offices are closed, services are unavailable. The U.S. Post Office will be, and was closed. You wouldn't get any mail today. Your next federal holiday is Memorial Day, May 30th. After that, it would be Juneteenth Day, June 20th. And then Monday, July 4th would be another day that it will be a holiday and you will not be receiving your mail. All right. What you want to say about President's Day, Madam President?
Well, all the presidents are worthy except for one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we
Absolutely.
all know who that one is.
So I have a question. He got back on social media today, President's Day. And so are you following him now? I understand whatever website or whatever app he got on, it crashed because so many people were signing up to be on it that it went down several times. But were you one of the many people? I'm just asking. You're a journalist. You might want to be nosy. Is that a hell to the no? Is that a hell to the no while you sip tea? While you sip tea. Okay. My bad, ma'am. I thought maybe you were investigating and wanted to find out. Okay. That's a hell to the no, I take it, huh? Okay. All right. Well, yes. So today was the day he got back on social media, and we'll see how all of that goes.
Well, here's the thing about him. Let him get on social media because, we've talked about this. Because I tell you, there's a certain attorney general in the state of New York
Sister
that's
girl.
waiting. She's salivating to bring him down. And trust and believe, if she don't bring him down, the Internal Revenue Service will.
Right.
Mark my words.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, as you guys all know, we're a health and wellness show, and we bring you the latest COVID-19 update numbers. But with so many things changing, today Britain decided to drop all of their COVID-19 mandates. They are not wearing any more masks. People can walk around in public, do what they want to do. They are not imposing those rules like that. As we found out over the weekend, the Queen Mother has tested positive for COVID. That Queen Mother being the Queen of England. She is 95 years old. They said she is just having minor symptoms or, very, minor things. But there's a great concern about the fact that she's 95. And then here's the other piece, K. Renee. Who the hell she been out with? Like she been up in the club? Where she been?
She been with her son, Prince Charles, and the Queen Consort, Camilla Bowles. That's where she's been.
And then they both test positive?
That's correct.
Ain't that something? You done gave your mama the COVID.
Gave her Rona.
Right. You done gave your mama the COVID. That's horrible. Yeah.
Now she just accepted her with open arms, and this is what you give her? Really?
Right. Well, Camilla was probably like, girl, you didn't make me the queen. You did not make me the queen. You made me the queen of a housing project. I think that's where that is in London. The queen, is she the queen of what? Cohorts or uh
Cohort. Did we say that right? Consort. Consort.
oh yeah, the queen of
Queen
consort.
consort.
And if I'm not mistaken, they're the Concords or whatever projects in London,
Consort.
consort projects in London. I think they are. Don't misquote me now. Been a minute since I've been
Lord.
over the pond, but yeah. So that's she probably like that's what your mama gets. She didn't make me the queen. She made me a queen.
She,
And
you know
so
what? I mean, all joking aside, Camilla, as interesting facially as she looks, she
right.
hasn't been really, like pressing Charles and look, this is what I want to do because she knows her role. She knows
Yes.
her lane, and she
Yes.
decides to stay in her lane. So I
Right.
give her that. I really
Yes.
do.
Yeah, I would too. You know, you marrying a man that famous and popular, I'd just sit around and get the pension too. I wouldn't rock the boat too much.
No.
Yeah, I would not. We want to wish our good friend Miss Karen Weddington a happy birthday. Karen is watching us tonight. She's celebrating her birthday, and we
Happy
just want to give her a
birthday, my
shout out and
namesake.
say
Happy birthday.
happy birthday, Karen. We love you. We do. All right, so let's go with the COVID numbers. Illinois public health officials reported 20,996 new cases over the last week. Aha, they're now giving weekly totals versus daily totals.
Interesting.
That included 417 additional fatalities last week and over 140,000 new dosages of the vaccine was administered to people in the state of Illinois. The previous week, prior to last week, there were reported 60,389 new cases, and there were 608 deaths the previous week before. The week before that, we had 123,812 new cases and 843 new deaths. So that does mean our numbers are dropping considerably compared to 3 weeks ago when we were at 123,000 new cases of COVID. 2 weeks ago, 60,000 new cases of COVID. And as of this today, from last week, 20,000. So that's not bad. The numbers are dropping and things seem to be changing. Now, with that being said, K Renee,
Mm-hmm.
Monday, 1 week from today, Illinois will be a mask free state. You will not be required to wear a mask in indoor places. We're not necessarily sure about Chicago as of yet. We've not got word about that. We've said that on this show, we will be wearing our mask until Juvember of 2025. A lot of
That's
you all
right.
have questioned what is Juvember. It is a mixture of June and November, and it will happen in 2025. But we will be wearing our mask
And the
in a lot of
pretty
public
mask.
settings, especially places not too sure of. You know what I'm saying? If
Right.
we had the chance to be at a lovely little gathering with some people. Hey, everybody that's watching. And,
Hi.
I wore my mask in and out, but then I also knew the health of everybody that was involved in the situation.
Well,
So,
not only that, I would still wear. I was at the doctor's office at the start of the holiday weekend, and they're still wearing masks. They're
right,
not gonna stop wearing masks. How much you want to bet? You think you
right.
go to the hospital and they're not gonna wear a mask?
Yep. You're right.
Mm-mm.
You're absolutely right. Well,
Mm-hmm.
places that you will have to continue to wear masks even after the governor drops his numbers. Chicago is looking at the metrics and they're looking for a continual decline in numbers. Otherwise, they won't be dropping the mask mandate. Now, places that you are still required to wear a mask in the state of Illinois, healthcare settings, doctor's office, dentist's office, the Alice place, any place that you go to have any kind of medical service, any long-term care facilities will require you to continue to wear a mask, rehab centers, nursing homes, buildings that house the elderly, any of those type of places. Congregate settings, places like prisons, shelters, continue to wear masks as required. Now, I do have a question. Is a church considered a congregant setting?
I would think so, especially you have these mega churches like Trinity, like our church,
Right,
House of Hope.
right,
They have a huge building. So
Right.
yeah, I would consider that.
Right. Okay. So in congregate spaces, you are still required to wear a mask. Transportation, you're still required to wear a mask. I truly would still wear a mask on transportation. And
Absolutely.
and at any daycares, you would have to wear a mask. Now, as for schools, the governor is currently planning to take an appeal of the recent ruling by a downstate judge. He's planning on taking his appeal uh, to the appellate court of the Illinois Supreme Court. And so, did that make sense? It did. Chicago public schools will still continue to follow the wear mask rule.
Yeah, and there's been a fight in certain suburban school districts about this. And
Right.
if my thing is this, if there are children who have a pre-existing condition, they need to wear a mask.
Yes. Yes. I agree. I just people, period.
Teachers, administrators, maintenance workers, because they're
Right.
around children.
Right.
I
Yes.
mean, to me, that's
Well,
a no-brainer.
right, right. And the governor said it best. Like, children come in contact with a lot of different things.
They
Think about it.
do.
If you have 32 students in one classroom, that's 32 different households that you don't know what the cleanliness practice is, the,
Exactly.
the, the, the standards of how they let people do what they do in their house, any of those things. So that is a petri dish in the making. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
A classroom is a petri dish. It really
Think,
is.
think about colleges. Where
Right.
I went to school, University of Illinois Chicago, when we had those study halls. They're huge. What do they do about that?
Well, now I'm gonna tell you the funniest thing. Today, when I googled Illinois' latest COVID updates,
Mm-hmm.
you had listed, instead of me just pulling the numbers and what I grabbed, you had a lot of the Illinois universities listing their mandates and rules for students. So when you Googled right, so Illinois states came up, another schools came up, and it explained everything the students needed to know, that they'll still have to wear a mask in a lecture hall. If they go to anything that's a performance where somebody is speaking, singing, any of that, they will still have to wear, a mask. But that's so funny. If you Google now, it's all the rules at the Illinois schools.
And that's funny because as I was driving coming home, and
Uh-huh.
I drove past my old school, I saw all the students wearing masks.
Yes.
All of them.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Well,
there you
like I
go.
said, I have no problem with wearing a mask. I have no problem with wearing a mask even after this is over. Really, it keeps your face warm. It keeps you, I don't know. I'm okay with it. It does not bother me. So I'll be just like the person that be like, girl, is that still a Jerry curl? You still wearing a Jerry curl from them late 80s, early 90s. Yes, that's the same Jerry curl. I'm going to be like that with wearing my mask. Yes. All right. What you got in the news, babe?
Well, guess what? It seems like it's official now with between Sherry Shepherd and Wendy Williams.
Who said it?
Nah.
Who said it on this show? Who said it?
Art Chat Daddy Sims. That's
Who
who said it.
Who said it? Who said
Art
it?
Chat Daddy Sims. The
Y'all gonna
prophet.
make me crip walk, right?
It's now official. The Wendy Williams show to be officially canceled in June. Sherry Shepherd show to premiere this fall.
Who
The
said it?
deal has been finalized. She
Yep.
signed it. Ink dry. It's on like popcorn, y'all.
Yep.
And I would love to see her new music, what
Yep.
her signature tagline is gonna be.
Yeah.
And hopefully I saw a post of Wendy celebrating her father's 91st birthday. So
Yeah.
I think maybe now she should take some time to really get her health in order and get her house in order.
Right.
And I don't mean just the physical house. I mean her house in order.
Right. Yes. Well, all I know is that I saw that coming. I told you that Wendy's time had been what it was. That Sherry Shepherd is actually very funny. She can keep a good conversation. That podcast that she does with Kim Whitley about the two single mothers, it's great. She has the television experience, and so it's her time. So I'm happy for her. And Sherry Shepherd will pull in her own demographic. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And even though Wendy had the "how you doingers," Sherry will have what she needs, and people will gravitate towards her as well too.
And she's
And
very personable. I mean,
yes,
she's had the issue with weight and she looks
right,
great now.
right,
So
right.
I believe she's relatable. Not to say Wendy wasn't, but
Yes.
Wendy could be very mean.
Oh,
And
absolutely,
that could come
absolutely.
back to bite you. So
Yes,
now she
yeah.
needs to just take a chill pill, enjoy her time with her family, her ex husband Kevin, who seems to be back in the picture, maybe.
Child, that's a whole mess in itself right there. What is that about?
So
What is that about? You promised to come back and pick up the pieces once everything's shattered. I guarantee you that's what that's about. When somebody's been with somebody that long, you are in hopes that they will come back and pick up the pieces when things shatter. Now that's what you hope if you really were in love with that person. I'm telling you, that's what that's gonna be as well, too.
well, I wish Wendy the best. And I definitely wish Miss Sherry Shepherd the best in her new venture when she
Yep.
opens up this fall.
Okay, very good. Well, everybody was a buzz last night at the All-Star game.
Yes.
Black Twitter, Black social media was just going at it last night. As you guys all know, let me see. Team LeBron defeated Team Durant. The final score was 163, 160.
Wow.
The
Close
All-Star
game.
game, huh?
Close game.
It was very close game. The All-Star game was performed in Cleveland, Ohio last night.
Mm-hmm.
And at the microphone singing the national anthem was R&B neo soul artist Macy Gray. And so Macy Gray did her own rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. Gray, is a Grammy Award winning artist. And so last night, while she was doing her performance, Mr. LeBron James, King LeBron, could be seen kind of, grimacing, kind of, trying to catch a laugh, kind of like, that type of thing while she was performing. And the internet has gone crazy talking about this situation. Let's talk about it. And then I want to explain a little bit about who Macy Gray is, because I think I might know a little bit about Macy Gray that she may be concealing something. Go right ahead, Kay Renee.
Well, first of all, I didn't see the All Star game, but I did see her performance, and I did see LeBron grimacing, which I thought was very disrespectful. And
Okay.
I'm just going to be very clear on that.
Right.
As 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 talented as LeBron is, as philanthropic as LeBron is, he knows better.
Right.
He does know better. So
Okay.
I fault him. He has a major faux pas with me for being disrespectful.
Okay.
Because as a black woman, he knows the deal. Don't do that. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
I'm getting off that soapbox for that.
Yeah,
Now,
but he could be again. I tell people, just because somebody has become a superstar, just because somebody has a lot of money, their coof and class and etiquette could be, you
less to
know,
be desired.
it
I
could be
get that.
poopy. It could be poopy. I'll just put it
Uh,
like that. It could be
it
very
less to be
poopy.
desired. But
Right.
he was disrespectful.
Okay. All right.
Period.
I'll go with
Now,
that. Yes.
getting back to Macy Gray's performance. Now, I saw some of the comments of Black Twitter. They were like, why she doing this? I mean, wait a minute. When she first came on the scene, she had this unique sound. If anybody who is older than 40 who knows about Lady Day, that's who she was. That's who people compared her singing style to.
Right.
So I didn't see the issue. The only thing that I saw in her performance, I mean, think about it. She did a cappella based upon a guitar, which I thought was great.
Right.
She had
Right.
no other accoutrements but the guitar and her voice. So that tells you she still has the voice.
It was an
My
acoustic session.
concern,
Yes.
right? My concern, I shared this with you before we came on the air, was I noticed she was shaking. in her stance. She
Right.
wasn't like, she didn't stand still. She was just moving about. So that kind of concerned me from a health aspect. But as far as her voice, as far as who she is, she did a great job. And I think maybe she
Yes.
was nervous.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. But again, I was just kind of just a little bit concerned about the shaking thing. But other than
Okay.
that, she did a good job.
Yes, she did. She did a great job. All right, so I got a couple of things to say about this. Macy Gray's style is very much her style. She has never changed how she is. I
Not at all.
wasn't shocked about what she had on. I mean, people had all kind of thoughts. People were also saying that whatever she was smoking, they wanted some of it. She could have been under the influence. We don't know. I thought she did a great job. She came to do what she had to do. She's from Canton, Ohio, so being able to sing the the Star Spangled Banner at something in your state is quite an honor.
It
And
is.
again, for a lot of people to not have known who she is, what we've got to realize, the sports world, the demographic is changing. Where
Yes, it
we
is.
would have wanted to see a Patti LaBelle or somebody up there singing it. No, Macy Gray is from the state, has done really well. She's been in several movies. And so I understood that. Now, here's what I'm kind of trying to figure out with Macy Gray. Macy Gray may have a disability and she's not identifying or acknowledging her disability. That
Ah,
could quite possibly be what it is. Do you remember Joe Cocker, the singer
yes.
Joe Cocker? Joe Cocker, you would go see him and damn near need an umbrella from the amount of spit and stuff. And if you look at how Joe Cocker, when he performs, it almost
Mm-hmm.
looks like he's having a seizure or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's just his style and his way. Jennifer Holliday, when she sings, she sometimes can look like, oh my God, is she getting ready to explode or something?
Right,
And
right.
it's just it's people's style. So I don't, and again, she could be, a person with a disability and just not identifying or mentioning anything about it. And then any of the roles that she's played in movies, she's been kind of that weird, quirky. As I posted on my social media, she is that special auntie that everybody have in a family. Everybody, if it's multiple sisters, that one auntie is special. She just is.
Right,
Right.
right. No, but that's an interesting point. And I hope that's not the case. But
Right.
again, I observed her, and knowing who Macy Gray is, she's very unique and just very eclectic. That's the
Yes.
word,
Yes.
eclectic and eccentric.
That's right.
That's who Macy
That's right.
Grace is.
Right. Right.
So, but the concern I had was the shaking. That was
Yes.
because I've seen her perform. I've never seen that aspect of her performance. So,
Yeah.
but
I
other than
mean,
that, she did a great job.
yeah, she did an excellent job. We wanted, because I remember when Fergie did it, and
Yes.
Fergie, baby, what was that mess Fergie did? Remember, she did one, and then you got to realize when Marvin Gaye did
Oh,
his.
Marvin Gaye tore it up. He
Yeah,
just did. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
it was like
Right,
soul right there.
right,
Hey,
right,
you,
right.
hey, because Marvin Gaye, when he said "Let's Get It On," you thought, okay, he can make any song sexy, but I was like, go ahead, Marvin.
Yes. Remember Whitney Houston did it?
Oh goodness gracious! It's
Yes.
still one of the best songs. When she sang at the Super Bowl. Yes,
Right.
yes,
Oh, you know what? Another artist that when he performs, it might throw you off as well too, is Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is
yes.
another one of those. You get what I'm saying? So some
Mm-hmm.
artists that perform like that, they just kind of do that or have their.
They take on a mind of their own. It's just
Right.
like just really interesting. Oh, she was shaking and trained Day Lolita.
Yeah,
Okay,
right. Yeah. So
okay,
she may have a form of palsy. You know what I'm saying? It may be something, and she's just not identifying with her disability. There are
right,
quite a few people, and until I became an ambassador and a spokesperson for those with disabilities, I didn't realize that there are people every day functioning and won't admit to their disability, or
right,
or they don't let it hinder who they are.
right,
So
right.
yes, yep. So All right, very good. Well, for those of you that are just joining us, welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. So glad to be here with you guys on this wonderful Monday evening. February is almost over. Next Monday will be the last day of February.
I know.
2022, and we'll be going right into March, but we're getting closer to spring. And we're 2 weeks away from daylight savings time.
That's right. March 13th, you got to push forward.
Yay. That's what I want to hear. More sunlight.
Yes.
Yes, very good.
Yes.
Very good. Well, sitting in the co-host chair is our girl, the one and only Miss Kay Renee of Karen's Nuggets of Knowledge. We're just so glad to have her back here with us this evening. We're here talking about all the top news stories coming up in just a few moments. This entire week, we're paying homage to African Americans and the contributions they made to business, invention, trendsetters, all of that. And joining us in just a little bit, we have a really, I'm so honored to have her on. I've talked to her over several years about her amazing career. Miss Dr. Lyn Hughes, founder of the A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porters Museum, will join us. And that's now a national museum, correct?
Yes, it is.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Right in the Pullman neighborhood. Yes, right in the Pullman neighborhood.
So
Yep.
do you remember this phrase, Art? Call me now. Does that phrase sound? Let me see if I can get my voice right. Call me now.
Call me now. I love Miss
Cleo. Y'all remember? For those who are a little older, y'all remember late at night when you needed some other help, you could call Miss Cleo.
Right. I never called Miss Cleo.
Call me now.
Yeah. No, I never called Miss Cleo. But I have.
I will admit, I tried. Wait, I tried it. See, when you have a mother who's also very intuitive,
right?
She yelled at, because I had a phone in my room. She put the phone. She said, "Girl, if you don't get off the damn phone, it's 1 a.m."
Yeah.
Well, it seems like "Call Me Now, Miss Cleo" is the subject of a new documentary.
Really?
Who'd have thought?
Right.
Who would have thought that Miss Cleo, who claimed to be a shaman from Jamaica, will be the subject of a documentary? And her real name was Yori Harris.
Yep, Yori Dale Harris.
Miss Cleo.
Yep.
And I mean, she was like a phenomenon, Yep.
She died in 2016 at the age of 53 from cancer.
Cancer, yeah.
Believe it or not, the pay per call service actually rang up $1 billion in sales. $1 billion in sales. In 2002, it all came crashing down when the Federal Trade Commission accused the network and its owners of deceptive advertising, billing, and collecting practices, bringing Miss Cleo's reign as the queen to a dramatic end. So her clear prophecies did not see that coming.
Apparently not.
Yeah, her right. It did not see it coming. So that's why Miss Cleo, I'm telling you, back in the day, Miss Cleo was the way to go. But then you have to keep in mind, that's when people really wanted direction in their life. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to be told what to do and
do it,
right,
how to do it. Yeah.
Because, you and I both came from spiritual parents.
Yes.
And our parents made those rules. But a lot of times when you wanted to hear something different, you would call a spirit, you would call somebody to give you that advice. And that's not,
Because let's not forget, Dionne Warwick had the Psychic Friends Network. So
she sure did. Sure did.
But Miss Cleo just outranked them all. And she just had that personality. She's like, call me now. And this,
that's right.
Very warm and heartwarming. But I will admit, when I was young, I said, forget what my mama said. Let me see if I would try to call late at night.
Cleo. Yeah.
Art. I did that one time before it would connect. My mom got off phone. She said, if you don't get off this phone.
Right. Yep.
Wrong number.
Yep, wrong number. Well, all right. Well, with that being said, we are looking forward to the documentary being released about the life and times of
Yeah.
Miss Cleo. Well, as I said earlier in the show, tonight we are paying homage to African Americans and the contributions that have been made to the labor force, whether inventing something, whether actually being historic workers, whatever the case may be. This entire week on the show, we're going to talk to people who have made a difference. Our next guest, believe it or not, I've talked to her over the years, and actually in 1995, she started this entire movement. And I'm just so honored to see the progress, the growth. This coming Saturday evening, the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porters Museum will be having an in-person gala at the Hyde Park Bank. And I'm so excited. You know, we're trying to get back out and socialize and see each
Yeah.
other. But most importantly, I really do want to talk to the woman who I remember her saying she was going to do this. And now her project has a doctorate degree. So it's almost like conceiving it, and now it has received its doctorate degree. Ladies
Amen.
and gentlemen, please welcome the founder of the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum, the incredible Dr. Lyn Hughes. Yay!
Yay.
Oh, wait, let's see. Your mic is muted. Unmute your mic. Let's see. You got it?
Uh-oh.
Wait. We lost her.
She's gonna come back.
Oh, yeah, she'll come back. We'll get her back. All right, let's keep talking. But yes, we got to unmute her mic.
Yes. So what's coming on tomorrow's show?
Tomorrow's show, Tuesday, we're
Yes.
going to still talk to more Black business owners. We also are going to, it's something else I had down the line. I got a special interview for us tomorrow evening as well, too. Did you guys do K&K this weekend?
We did. We did hot topics. You know, we got candid about a lot of stuff, about the church,
Okay.
about COVID.
Oh,
We talked
Lord.
about our mayor who was stalked last week.
Yes, I know. Isn't that
Remember?
something? That's crazy.
Yes, and she did an exclusive interview with Karen Jordan, ABC News, and she was just very shaken.
Right.
And
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
because she said the son of a gun, and I use the term loosely, came to her house with a gun.
Oh, my well, we have Dr. Hughes. She got this technical difficulty worked out. We're glad to
Excellent.
welcome her. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for the founder of the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porters, the incredible Dr. Lyn Hughes. Hey!
Thank you.
Oh, it's
It's not my best friend, but I'm so excited to be here. I remember when I did your show the last time, had to be 4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
yes.
I felt so welcomed, and I felt the subject matter was so appreciated. I was so pleased and humbled for the interest, not only from you, but from your audience. And for that, I thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You know, I remember, believe it or not, we're going to go even further back than the radio show at the Chicago Defender. I had the honor and pleasure of talking to you.
Yes.
I really do remember when you truly started all of this. When you said this is what I want to do, and this is, you know, how I want to continue, you know, to preserve this legacy. If you could, please tell us how you got started, how your efforts started, and we'll go from there.
Okay. It's a kind of a long story, but I'm always very pleased to talk about it. I don't get a chance to talk about it often, but the museum, I say I'm the founder, but it was really not my idea. I went to Pullman. I migrated from Chicago, Cincinnati, came to Chicago looking for real estate, and it was two sisters who owned the building that is now occupied by Theaster Gates.
Mm-hmm.
These were two sisters who were familiar with a community called Pullman, and they were very interested in rehabbing and the whole real estate realm. One of the things when they say when your back's against the wall, you do what you know or what you're familiar with. So I was a recent divorcee looking for a way to reinvent myself and support 3 children.
Okay.
So I came to Chicago and I was talking to people about looking for real estate. And someone gave me the telephone number of one of those 2 sisters I mentioned who were the former owners of the building that's now occupied by Theaster Gate. And had a conversation with them and told them what I was looking for and what I was about to do, what I was interested in. None of which, by the way, was a museum. I was just interested in real estate, trying to find something that they referred to as flipping,
right?
Real estate and flipping. And so she said to me, I remember it like it was yesterday. She said, you should go to Pullman.
Okay.
Go to Pullman and go to the North End. Because when you go to the North End, you will find property cheap. Right. And I said, why is that? And she said, because its population is African American and it's not taken care of like the South End that is not African American. I was struck by that, but I remembered what she said very clearly. And so I made my way one day out to the Pullman community, driving around, and I was struck by the pervasive poverty.
Yes.
I could see, not that I felt or talking to anyone, but that I can see.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just something that touched me in a way that I cannot put into words. I just felt like I was supposed to do something. I didn't know what.
Right.
I felt like I was supposed to do something. And I remember driving around in the area, and on the corner of 104th and Maryland, there were 3 little boys standing there, and they were looking at me. I guess they could tell I was a stranger.
Right.
They were looking at me with out the side eye, as they say.
Right.
They looked like they might have been 7, 8, 9 years old, the 3 of them there. And so I parked and got out and went and introduced myself. By this time, they looked at me like I had just came out of a spaceship.
Right.
I think it was the fact that someone who looked like them took the time, who was clearly a stranger, who looked like them and who took the time to come over and say, what are you guys doing? What are you up to? You know, do you live around here? Those are the kind of general questions that I asked.
Right.
I just remember there was a sort of an odd question, but the one of the little boys in the center of the 3 said to me, is that your car? And I said, it is. He said, do you have any fruit in your car? I thought that was a very strange question, but
right.
It was, and so then I began the kids say a bogus conversation. I wanted to engage with them and just talk. And I said, well, how long have you lived here? And where do your parents live? Are you visiting, or do your parents live here? And they told me they lived in the neighborhood. But I was just trying to engage with them. And one of the things that I realized was they were looking at me like that because they just really wanted to have someone to engage in talking to them.
Right. Yes. And that's important.
Yes. And so I felt that. And so, I left, I drove around looking at surveying the area. And I drove, I left. And I came back again, and someone told me about a tour that was offered out of a place called the Hotel Florence. It was at 111th and Cottage Grove.
Right.
So I went doing my own reconnaissance, if you will. I went to the Hotel Florence. There used to be a restaurant there. And so I went there, and they offered a tour. And there was a group of tourists, about 20, and I happened to be the only African American in the group. So the tour docent talked about the history of Pullman, and he was going on and on about the architecture and how wonderful it was, and about this guy, George Pullman, whom I knew nothing about. When he finished, I raised my hand in the group and said, excuse me, can you tell me what role African Americans played in the Pullman story? There was a hush that went over the room like I stole something.
Wow.
it just impacted me in such a way that I really can't explain it. I felt really, it was an eerie feeling. And so what seemed like an eternity passed. And then he came back with a response and said, well, I think they worked on the trains. Well, I thought he was going to elaborate a little more, but he didn't. And so
Wow.
my spirit man said, shut up and go to the library.
Right.
So I did. I went to the library. I asked the librarian there. It was a small public school library. It was located in the Wendell Smith Elementary School. I went into the library and I asked the librarian, what could she give me that I could read that would tell me about the African American participation and experience in Pullman?
Mm-hmm.
Came back with 2 books. I thought they were children's books initially because of the page volume. But when I looked at the books, I chose the one, full disclosure, I chose the one that had the best pictures. And
okay. So, right. That's what most people do. Right.
I went home and read the book cover to cover. I found myself weeping out of pain and anger. I remember once I heard Oprah Winfrey say a show talking about an ugly cry. I know that was an ugly cry. I was in pain. I had not experienced that kind of emotional reaction ever in my life. And it was just, I felt this strong responsibility that I needed to do something. I didn't know what, but I feel like I had an obligation to do something. I kept thinking about those little boys that I met on the corner.
Right.
So I went again to Pullman, back to that same neighborhood right on the corner where we are. I spoke to the woman on the phone, those 2 sisters that I mentioned, and I was supposed to meet them at the location, but I was a newly transplanted person to Chicago, didn't know anything about Pullman, and I'm sitting there in the car waiting to meet this person, and she didn't come. So I realized when I called, I was in the wrong place, but it just said to me that I was in the wrong place at the right time.
That's right.
And then, I'm not breaking down doors going into a building that's a church, but I do believe in God. I do believe in spirit-filled ideas. I do believe that he speaks to us in a way that no one else can. And I believe he was speaking to me. And so I just decided, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I was going to plant a flag there, if you will.
Right.
So I started talking to people on the phone about what kind of representation that Pullman had for African Americans. And I said, there ought to be, I shared my experience, that the tour that I went on, and I shared that it was an eerie kind of thing, and quite disappointing, by the way, that they did not mention African Americans in that whole tourism arena that I knew nothing about. But it propelled me in a way that forced me to go in some doors that I had never any intention going into. I ended up looking for real estate and found 3 buildings. I'm a recently divorcee with 3 children. So I bought 3 buildings, one for each one, in case I croaked, they wouldn't fight each other over one building that was left.
Very good. Smart mama move. Smart mama move.
So I bought these buildings, and I called my mom. My father had passed, but I called my mother and said to her, I'm going to create a museum. And she said to me, you're going to do what? I said, I'm going to create a museum. And she said, I have 3 questions to ask you. Do you know anything about museums? I said, no, ma'am. She said, do you know anybody who works in a museum? I said, no, ma'am. She said, the last question I'm going to ask you, do you know anybody who ever started a museum? And said, I no, ma'am, I do not. She said, I rest my case. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it because I can hear in your voice that you've already made up in your mind. So I will say this. When you get in trouble, not if, but when you get in trouble, just call. I'll send your brothers to come and take care of your crazy A. And we will figure out how to get you out of the mess that you have put yourself in. And so I would say I share that story sometimes only because I want people to hear that you don't have to be what the world says you need to be prepared for.
Yep. Yep.
You need to be prepared for the opening of your mind, your ears, your eyes, your heart, so that you can hear
Yep.
what God has to tell you.
Yep.
Amen.
You can only get that when you're quiet. You can't get it boogalooing and all the rest of the
That's
stuff,
right.
going to club
Right.
and all that. You
Yep.
can't get that. You have to
Yep.
be still and quiet.
Yep.
I will say that that encounter really changed the trajectory of my life. It forced me to ask questions. My father used to always say something to me. He said it's very important for you when I was 4. He said it's very important for you to learn how to read, and I just wanted to know why. He said because when you can read, no one no one will ever be able to tell you they're any better than you, that they can't do anything that you can't do. Because if you can read, if you don't know how to do something, if you can read, you're going to learn how to do something. Now remember
Amen.
that. And I say, yes,
Right.
sir. I did. I remember that. So fast forward, I ended up calling people around the city and then across the country and saying that I wanted to start a museum, a Black labor history museum. And I did that because the poverty that I spoke about earlier, I saw a community that it was almost like it was parallel communities, but one was Black and one was white, and they're 5 blocks apart.
Yep.
That didn't rest well with me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I thought that if I could find a way to connect our history, heritage, and culture with the population of the community, it would then say to them they had value, that they were a part of history, heritage, and culture, but they were connected to their history, heritage, and culture that no one else seemed to be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I decided I was going to create this museum, and I started talking to people. What was interesting that somebody said to me, every time I would talk to somebody about starting a museum, they would say to me what I thought was ridiculous at the time. Well, what are your credentials? I thought, why are you asking me that question? I'm talking about doing something in my way, as my contribution of repairing something that is broken,
Right.
right or wrong, connecting our people to clearly an area of history that people were interested in. The problem was they had, you know what I mean when I say revisionist history writing, separated us from American history. And these men who worked as African American men, and to a lesser degree women, who
Mm-hmm.
worked on the railroad, decided that they would use those jobs on the railroad to propel their families
Mm-hmm.
out of poverty. And it just seemed to me that that was an important message
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't getting told. And so I think my mother said, "You must be crazy." But I think that if I had to do it all over again, I'd do the very same thing, because I know that planting that museum in that community, in the space that it is in, and we're celebrating our 27th year of existence without grant, federal, city, state, or federal grant money to uphold that place or build that place. It was built on what they say, blood, sweat, and tears. I'm an
Yep.
entrepreneur.
Yep.
I just knew that there was something that I can do, that I could do. And as it
Mm-hmm.
turned out, God used me, I believe. God used me
Mm-hmm.
to do that. And so no matter what people said or did not do strategically, and you hear me, I know you do,
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
they did not want the museum to be in that community. Some of a different hue did not want it to be in that community. The African Americans were suspect of, why would I want to come in and do something good or something for the community? Well, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? I couldn't figure that out. But I think it all depends on the background that you come from, your perspective that you have. I'm a former entertainer. That's the only job I ever had, real job I ever had in my entire life, an entertainer.
You were a part of a teenage singing group.
Right, right. I used to do background work for James Brown and the Platters and all of those people when I was in high school, coming out of high school, going into, and that's where my singing career started. And we made good money. We made
Yeah.
good money. My father died, left my mother with 11 children, and so my two older brothers and I had to work because no one in their right mind is going to babysit 11 children.
Right.
So we had to work to make sure that my mother and our siblings under us were taken care of. And so my choir teacher told me that I could sing, and she told the manager of the Platters that I could sing. And he came and said to me, "What are you going to do when you graduate high school?" I said, I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. He said, "Did you ever think about singing?" And I said, "No, sir." He said, "I think you can sing." He said, and he went on to tell me about all the places we could go. I said, "Well, I tell you what you do. You come to my house and tell my mother that, because I'm not telling her. I'm not telling her that because I know what she's going to say." And so, in fact, he did. He came and he told her that he was the manager of the Platters and he had this group, and that she had a daughter who had a gift, and he thought that she could go somewhere, and he wanted to be able to take her out on the road. And my mother said to him in no uncertain terms, "You can, if you want that responsibility, I'll give it to you, but I can tell you what you're going to do to her and for her, and what you're not going to do to and for her. And if you don't live up to your word, I'm coming for you."
Well, look, I love your mama. Oh my God. Right. Your mother was a modern day renegade back then. You know what I'm saying? Right.
So he looked at her, and then he looked at me, and I said, "I told you, you have to come and tell her that."
Wow.
But I thought about, and so my parents, they instilled in us that we had to do the right thing. And if we saw something that needed to be done, don't just stand there, do it.
Right.
And so that was the spirit or the mindset I was operating on when I went to Pullman. And I can share with you that little 1,800 square feet building that we are in, that I paid $7,500 for, started something that I had never expected. I never expected. From that little location, you have the first time in history they made a movie. Showtime made a movie called 10,000 Black Men Named George.
That's
I
right.
served as the authenticity expert, went to Canada, helped to film the movie. Nobody knew that, but it was just something that happened. There was a guy his name was Stan Margulies. He saw an article that they did in the Chicago Tribune about the museum. He sent his wife, who was his research assistant, and she called and said, "We want to do a movie about the Pullman Porters." And I was just too blown away. I sat in the car at the airport and cried. I was sitting there waiting for someone. Mm-hmm. I thought, finally, someone hears it. Because these are men who created the Black middle class. There's all manner of sound bites now that come out and they talk about the Pullman Porters. And so the very first thing I say is, you cannot have a conversation about the Pullman Porters without talking about A. Philip Randall.
That's right.
That's right.
You cannot.
That's
you
right.
cannot. But people do, because it is the revisionist history that is in effect. And let's face it, our culture is profitable.
Yes, it is. Dr. Hughes, I want to congratulate you, because I remember when you started your mission, your campaign, getting the media attention, and then for this now to be a nationally recognized museum, really, again, almost like, from conception to, as I said in the intro, now a doctorate degree. I'm so proud of you, and you're still very much down to earth, and I saw you pass the baton on to other people in your organization, which is really great. Kay Renee, what do you want to say to our guest? Because she is really incredible.
Well, Dr. Hughes, excuse me, thank you for continuing to live your life with purpose. You are my new Shiro. I
Thank
just want to
you.
let you know that. I am humbled. Honestly, I hope there's a book in your future because you need to tell this story so generations, especially as we're about to close Black History Month and then welcome Women's History Month, I'm hoping that you'll be able to speak and tell your story on how this project came to be birthed and to give life. But I want to know, as I always ask our guests, who inspires you to be the absolute best Dr. Lyn Hughes this universe has ever seen?
I will say to you two women. First, my mother, Alberta Cooper, who was a 4'11" Jewish, half African American woman who instilled in me the pride in my history, heritage, and culture. And Dr. Phyllis Cunningham, who was a professor at Northern Illinois University. She came to Chicago and saw what I was trying to do. And she said to me, "Why don't you get a degree? Why don't you get your further degree?" And I said, "Well, I don't think I can do that." She said, "I'm looking at you. You can." And she pushed me. She said, "We have a doctoral program that I know you can do it. I know you can." And most people take 10 years at least to get a doctorate degree. I did it in 5. And
Wow.
Woo!
Wow.
because of
Whoa!
it was because of her. And because of
Wow.
my mother pushed me and she pushed me. They both believed in me, in my
Right.
spunk, they used to say, that I had no idea. You know, it's like my sister gave me a plaque that says, "Women are like a pot of tea. You don't know how strong they are until the water heats," or something like that. I'm
Yes.
paraphrasing,
Yes.
but that's what it is. And so I am always honored to talk about these men. I'm honored about the work that we have done. In 2003, I created something called the National Historic Registry of African American Railroad Employees.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that I might get 1,000 responses. We did it on the internet. We got 7,000 responses from people across the country who talked about their fathers, their grandfathers, their uncles, who were Pullman Porters, and all shared their stories about these men having conversations at the dinner table that encouraged them to move forward in life. They all have children who all went to college. It's an amazing story. And one of the things that so enrages me is when the lack of authenticity when they speak about these men, because they only talk about little pieces.
Right.
There's so much depth in the history that these men made
Mm-hmm.
after slavery and
Right.
after A. Philip Randolph harnessed them and told them, "You are men, you are free men. And what this is about is you control your economic fate." And from
Mm-hmm.
that, they made history. They were the first Black labor union in
That's
America
right.
to, to establish a Black labor union, the first to be chartered under the AFL. No, it wasn't CIO yet, it was just AFL.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
For the first to win a collective bargaining agreement with a major U.S. corporation, which happened to be the Pullman Company. But most importantly, they influenced the Great Migration by distributing the Chicago Defender, and they established the foundation for the Black middle class. There's no way they should be excluded from the history books.
That's right. Amen.
There's
Mm-hmm.
just no way they should be excluded. And so I know I didn't start out.
That's all right. Tell us all about the
Go.
gala. No, this was truly a master class tonight. It
Yes.
really was. Yes.
We are celebrating our 27th anniversary, and about 10 years ago, we began incorporating that by also acknowledging A. Philip Randolph, who gets no love in the history books. But we started this Gentle Warrior Awards Gala reception as a way to honor his contributions. And so we honor people in organized labor, men and women. We honor those with something called the Gentle Warrior Award because of the spirit of A. Philip Randolph. He was such a strategic, important figure in our history. He would get things done, things that we take for granted and we give other people credit for. It was actually him who did it. And so what's the expression? Walk tall and carry a big stick, or one of those kind of
That's
things.
Yes,
right.
ma'am. That's right.
One of those kind of things. And so we honor those people who make those contributions. And this year we're honoring in Chicago Don Finn, who is the business manager for IBEW Local 134. And we're honoring a fella by the name of Tafari Gabre.
Okay.
He is the first immigrant political refugee, Black man, and Labor Council leader elected to a national office of the AFL-CIO. That's a big deal. He came to our museum and was just blown away when he saw our exhibits, and he asked me all manner of questions. But that is something that's very important. We're also honoring some local people who are not always in labor, but people who make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
We're honoring Jonathan Swain, who comes from a family of entrepreneurs. His family owned Kimbark Liquors, and
They do. Yeah.
beverage shop. They used to own the cleaners on 53rd Street in the Kimbark Plaza. We're honoring Alice Sims, State Representative Nick Smith, and Israel Adonijah. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yes.
He is a former bear and founded a charity called, I'm going to get it wrong, so I'm just going to say that. But we're honoring those people. And the event this year is presented by Wintrust. Blew me away when they stepped up to the plate and said they would sponsor our event and present it. And so we're actually holding the event this year in the Wintrust building. It's called the Hyde Park Bank. And there's a young woman who is a event planner, Tiffany Merrills. People are going to be astonished when they walk in that building and see how she transformed that space into, they're not going to believe it when they see it. So we are thinking that the pandemic changed how you do events. It's changed the way any of us do business. And so you pivot. Black folks, that's what we do.
Right.
We get creative and change things. And so I am so honored and grateful for the collaboration with Wintrust Bank, because they're not our banker. They didn't know us.
Right.
And so that says a lot about people when they step up and offer to help with something and someone they know nothing about. And so I'm honored to say that. And it's not giving them the plug, as my mother used to say, give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, but Dr. Hughes, I've got to make this comment. Didn't you have like the president of the United States come to the museum, or
he came to the Pullman factory site and designated the area as a Pullman National Monument.
Right.
Quite frankly, full disclosure, a little bit disappointing because he did not acknowledge that we exist, and he talked at length about Pullman Porters and A. Philip Randolph and never once mentioned our name. But you know what? Everybody in Chicago and everybody across this country knows who we are, what we do, and what we have done.
That's right.
We do what we do not for accolades.
That's right.
Because we love our people, we love and honor our history, heritage, and culture. And we have a responsibility to pass that on to the younger people, because they need to know that an ordinary man can do an extraordinary thing like this group of men did, and they made history. And so we have that obligation. We've allowed the system to say to our children that they are not important, and that unless they're a basketball player, a rapper, a sports figure, that they are not worthy. They are. The devil is a liar. And so we make it our business to say those kinds of things and make those kind of comments that often get me in trouble because I say what I think. But our children need to hear that.
Yes.
They need to hear that they are worthy. They need to hear that they are smart. even those young men who stand on the corner doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
That's right. That's right. They need
They have
encouragement.
skills, or they wouldn't be able to do what they're doing. They just need
That's
to be
right.
pointed in the right direction. And
That's
so
right.
I'm going to get off my soapbox. I know
Well,
you
Doctor,
want
we love you. We do. You've done an outstanding job this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, this coming Saturday, the 26th. What time does the event start, Doctor?
it's 5 to 9.
5 to 9.
5 to 9.
Uh,
You have to present vaccine cards for admission. Don't shoot the messenger. That's the city mandate. And so for those of you who can attend, you can still donate. We still need money. It is a fundraiser. And so
Right.
for those of you who care about what we do, who appreciate what we do and understand what we do, you can make a donation. It could be $20, it could be $50. It doesn't matter, as long as you show support and help us continue to do the work that we are doing and the work that we have been doing for 27 years.
I love it. I love it. I love it. The National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum, located in the Pullman area. Look it up, you guys. You can actually go enjoy yourselves. They even were doing some things virtually. Please check it out. Dr. Lyn, how much are the tickets for Saturday night?
Tickets are $125, but they can go to PullmanPorterMuseum.com and find out everything they want to know.
All right.
How to donate, how to support us before and after this event.
Okay, very good. Kay Renee, say what you need to say while I'm putting this up for Dr. Hughes.
Again, our spiritual mom always says your life may be the only Bible that someone else reads. They are reading you now, Dr. Hughes. And as I said, you are my another shero. And I just thank God that you've truly come this way and continue to live your life with purpose. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. You're doing a fantastic job, by the way.
Thank you. We appreciate you. We really do. Look, we're going to have to talk about your singing days one day. Just have you on to talk about that. Because that is incredible. How long did you sing for?
Especially with James Brown. Come on.
Right.
15 years.
Wow.
Really?
15 years.
Wow. And you were on the road all that time?
All that time. Las Vegas, across the world.
Wow. Yeah, you're an icon.
You gotta come back for Women's History Month. Talk about that.
Absolutely. Yes. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you both for inviting me. I appreciate you more than you know.
It's a pleasure. God bless you and good luck. Let me put this up here, everybody. It is the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum Gala this coming Saturday, February 26th, in the Hyde Park Bank building, which is now Wintrust. And they do have a wonderful event space in there that you're going to be blown away because it is really nice. All right. And then for more information on how you can help the museum, PullmanPorterMuseum.com, PullmanPorterMuseum.com. Thank you, Dr. Lyn Hughes. We appreciate you so much and have a beautiful night.
Thank you.
Bye, Dr. Hughes.
Bye. Thank you. See you later. That was incredible. That was. Wow. Well, Kay Renee, because we're not streaming on 3 of our platforms, I'm going to go ahead and end the show. We're going to let you do your nugget, and then I'm going to try to play these back for people. I don't know what happened with 3 of our platform levels, but they kind of jumped offline tonight, so it may be something with the server. So go right ahead, my dear. Oh, wait. I done took you out. Lord, Lord, it's Black History. Go ahead.
That's okay, honey. This is still Black History Month, and this nugget comes from Hidden Figures, NASA mathematician who we lost in 2020, Miss Katherine Johnson. And she says, you will do better if you cause other people to want to learn. I'll repeat that. You will do better if you cause other people to want to learn. And this is Make It Happen Monday. # encourage others to learn with enthusiasm.
Yay! For more information about hers truly. I was going to say yours truly, but that's about hers truly, baby. That's hers truly over there. K Renee, Karen's Nuggets of Knowledge.com, Karen's Nuggets of Knowledge.com. Go there and find out more information. We apologize. We were going to play trivia tonight, but I know in order for us to have enough people to respond, we are missing 3 of our streaming platforms this evening out of the blue. So we do apologize. We'll be back tomorrow night and have trivia for you guys tomorrow night. We will continue to celebrate Black business and African Americans' contributions to the labor force. And Miss Lynn was amazing. She was just
Dr.
simply
Lynn was
amazing.
off the
She was
chain.
off the chain. She really
Off
was.
the
She was
chain,
very
yes.
good. All right, here we go. Let's see. Let me take that down. We got a comment. Oh, that's so funny. Nicole K said Wi-Fi haters. Yep. I don't know what that's about. Right. I need to figure out what's going on with Facebook. Like, what the hell done happened? Yes. Yes, that was great about West Pullman Historic District has a lot to offer. Thanks, L. Rick. Yep, interesting conversation it was. And then Lolita made a lot of great feedback in the row houses.
Thank you, Miss Lolita.
Yep, yes, very good. All right, well, we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Hopefully, we'll be streaming to all of our platforms because we love all of our audience and we want everybody to get a fair shake at the show. For more information about yours truly, please visit therealchatdaddy.com. Therealchatdaddy.com is where you can find out more information about me. Thank you guys so very much. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe. Be beautiful. K. Renee, I'll talk to you tomorrow night, my love.
All righty. Love you guys.
You promise? Tomorrow night? Let's get some more feedback from the audience. Yeah, we sorry, guys, that we weren't on all the platforms tonight. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow evening. We'll be streaming on all services. Bye. Bye. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.